4 straight years of dominance in the NFC South division. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won this division yet again, and they will host yet another playoff game. Now, we do have to talk about what happened last season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in a similar situation. They won the tiebreaker with the New Orleans Saints. They won a playoff game last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. Granted, the Eagles were on a downward spiral. They spiraled out of control. Tampa Bay Buccaneers cannot help that. They went out there and they took care of business. That's the same Philadelphia Eagles team. They went out there and defeated them in the regular season. And Todd Bowles, he went out there and he had a clear-cut game plan on how to defeat Jalen Hurts and that offense. And they defeated the Philadelphia Eagles this season. Not only just that, they also gave the Detroit Lions their first loss of the season. And that was when the Detroit Lions were not dealing with those many injuries. The Detroit Lions were a relatively healthy team. And Todd Bowles and Liam Cohen, they went out there and they exposed the Detroit Lions at that time. It was a very good football game. When I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm not saying that they're a Super Bowl contending team, that they're going to go out there and they're going to shock everyone. But this is a sneaky team to go against. And if they can get healthier in the NFL playoffs, anything can happen. I want to start off with Baker Mayfield, one of the best comeback stories in the NFL. When you look at Baker Mayfield, he started out with the Cleveland Browns. They pushed him out the door with Deshaun Watson. Now you look at the Cleveland Browns. They're one of the worst teams in this league. They traded him to the Carolina Panthers. He could not find a true fit with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers at the time were just a terrible organization. And Baker Mayfield was not the right guy. They cut him. He goes over to be the quarterback with the Los Angeles Rams. Within just a couple of days, he goes out there and he defeats the Las Vegas Raiders in a Rams home game. And then he comes over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers really walked into a great situation. You went from having Jameis Winston many years ago. You move off of Jameis Winston. You bring in Tom Brady. And in that first season, you win a Super Bowl. For the first time in a very long time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they go out there and they have postseason success. That second year with Tom Brady, it wasn't pretty. The offensive line was not the same. They could not run the football. You had Todd Bowles as the head coach. There was a lot of question marks. Should they keep him? They fired Byron Leftwich. He goes out there. He brings in Dave Canales. We saw this offense last season, and I just went into that whole discussion of how they made the playoffs. They made a playoff run. They're just a couple plays away from defeating the Detroit Lions. Baker Mayfield has an interception across the middle of the field. But you look at him this season. Brand new offensive coordinator yet again, and I would give Coach Todd a lot of credit. He brought in Dave Canales last season. It worked out. He's now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He brings in Coach Liam. Coach Liam has made this a balanced offense. For the first time in the last 3 years, they have an offense where they can run the football effectively enough. They can work off of play action. They can run this offense through tight ends. That has not been the case. When Ryan Jensen first went down with that ACL injury, they could not run the football. They drafted Graham in the first round, Graham Barton, who has been a very good interior offensive lineman. And he's getting a push up front. And you have Bucky Irvin, who has been a phenomenal rookie this season. You can make the case that he deserves to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. But unfortunately, he plays the running back position. But this kid is special. You also have White, very good running back behind him. You have 3 running backs in this roster that give you something different. And you have Sean Tucker. 3 running backs that can catch the football at the backfield. Bucky Irvin has more juice. You go back to that Chargers game. He went out there and he looked very good against one of the best defenses in the NFL. He looked very good against one of the best rushing defenses in the league, the Detroit Lions. When they defeated the Detroit Lions this season, and many people forget about that game, the Detroit Lions, they're fully healthy. When they defeated the Philadelphia Eagles this season, the Eagles were dealing with offensive problems. Yes, their defense was fully healthy. So this is a Buccaneers team. They have the personnel to go out there and cause a lot of problems in the playoffs, for sure. Hopefully, Cade Otton will be able to play in the playoffs. He's on pace to play in the playoffs. He's been dealing with a knee injury over the last few weeks, but that's a major weapon to have. He has 600 receiving yards before he got injured, and is a very good red zone target. Chris Godwin went down against the Baltimore Ravens. The same with Mike Evans. He hurt his hamstring. But they ran this offense through those 3 running backs, through Baker Mayfield and his legs, through Sterling Shepard, and through Jalen McMillan. Now, if Chris Godwin was to leave, and it's a good chance that he will leave in free agency, you have Jalen McMillan. Jalen has been a very good wide receiver since Chris Godwin got injured. And even when Mike Evans was down, he made some crucial catches, especially down the stretch. This is the same Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that went to overtime with the Kansas City Chiefs. So they have the talent. They just have to stay healthy and have to stay out their own way. If Baker Mayfield doesn't turn the football over at a high clip, this Buccaneers team can compete with anyone in the NFL. And I truly believe that. Once again, not saying that they're going to go out there and win the Super Bowl. They're going to go out there and defeat the Minnesota Vikings and all those top tier teams in the NFC. But when I look at how this team is built, they're built in the trenches on the offensive side and on the defensive side. But give Baker Mayfield his credit. 41 passing touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Those are good numbers in this league for any quarterback. But he's living up to that potential of being that first overall pick in 2018. And that's a phenomenal quarterback class to go back and look at. You have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. The only guy that ended up being a true bust was Josh Rosen. But I'm happy to see Baker Mayfield finally find a home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I look at Coach Todd, there was a lot of questions around him. I even questioned him myself. Why are you still having the starters in the game against the Ravens? And that was the game that Chris Godwin got injured in, but he rallied the troops. He got everyone back together. It was a point in time to where the Atlanta Falcons were leading this division. And they lost to the Atlanta Falcons not once but twice this year. Kirk Cousins carved up this defense, but Todd Bowles kept the team together. He kept the team fighting. And that's what you want to see. He's been a very good head coach this season. I will say it. I have to eat crow on this one. I always liked Todd Bowles as a defensive-minded coach. I just had a lot of questions as him being a head coach. But so far, it's worked out. So to see him have his redemption arc, he's the former head coach with the New York Jets. Oddly enough, he was there when Sam Darnold was a rookie, and he never got a true shake with the New York Jets. So to see him have this success over the last couple of years with the Buccaneers, it's great to see. And speaking of him and his defense, the defense, they've been up and down this year. They've let up some big-time games. They go out there, they'll have some good moments against some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jared Goff being one of them. Jalen Hurts being another. Jalen Hurts always struggles against his defense because they blitz a lot and they put pressure on you. When this front seven is fully healthy, it's one of the best front sevens in the league. You have Kalijah Kancey, very good run stopper. Vita Vea, one of the best run stoppers in the league, and they can both push the pocket. This is a defense, they're going to make you one-dimensional. That's why they give up a lot of passing yards on the back end. Because you have Vita Vea, Logan Hall, Kalijah Kancey, Yaya Diaby. All of those guys can go back there and put pressure on the quarterback, but they're going to stop the run. This is one of the best run-stopping defenses in the league, especially in the last 8 games. And we saw this last season. Now, Todd Bowles will still go out there. He will blitz a lot. But if the cornerbacks can just make a couple big plays here and there, they're going to be okay. And I'm going to make some excuses here for Todd. Even though their passing defense is at the bottom of the league, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries on the back end. I am worried about the safety position. Antoine Winfield has missed a lot of time this year. He missed some time at the beginning portion of the season dealing with an injury. He's missed the last couple weeks dealing with an injury. But when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best safeties in the league. I know we look at Kirby Joseph right now, Xavier McKinney, Mika Fitzpatrick, all those guys being very good safeties. Antoine Winfield is in that conversation. This man was great last season, and he's been a very good safety since they drafted him. And the reason why he's essential to this team, he's more essential than Jordan Whitehead, is because he can do so much for you. When you blitz and you have him playing single high safety over the top, he's not going to give those big plays because he's the best cover safety with this organization. And Jordan Whitehead got into a car accident. I hope that he will be okay long term, but he's going to miss some time. So they're thin right now at the safety position. And this is a defense they need as much help as they can get on the back end because they zero blitz a lot. I look at Zion McCollum. Right now, he is their best cornerback. Zion McCollum has been very good all season long. He'll give up some big plays, but he'll come with some big plays towards the defense. He's a very good corner. Tyke Smith, very good player in this secondary. 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections. He's a versatile player. Can play safety, can play cornerback, can watch out for the tight end, can watch out for the slot wide receiver. Versatility. That's why it was essential to get him in the NFL draft. And that's a very good lookout for Todd Bowles. This is the guy that Todd Bowles really wanted. He talked with the general manager. They came down to agreement, and they drafted this kid. I look at Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean's a veteran. He's not going to go out there and be a top-tier cornerback in the league, but he's not a horrible cornerback to have. And they have been in situations before in the playoffs, so that veteranship does help you out with some of the younger players. But I look at the Buccaneers. This has been a very successful season. When you look at Chris Godwin, he missed majority of the year. Your offense did not take a step back because you were able to run the football with those 3 running backs. And Bucky Irving, he has a bright future in this league. And I expect for him to have a great playoff debut in the next week. And I want to talk about Mike Evans before I let you guys go. The best wide receiver in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. This man has been amazing since 2014. He has played with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. Those are not terrible quarterbacks. DeAndre Hopkins has dealt with some bad quarterbacks. But look at all the different quarterbacks he's played with. And every single year, over 1,000 receiving yards. And they're not force-feeding him the football. He is just that dominant. And to see him get older, he's getting better. This is a Hall of Fame talent, for sure. When you look at guys like Aaron Rodgers and you look at Tom Brady later in of their career, you know quarterbacks that get all the love. They're going to always go out on a retirement tour. Fans are going to always show up and say, hey, that was my favorite quarterback growing up. You're going to have a lot of kids growing up and saying, man, Mike Evans was like that on the field. Mike Evans was great, and he still is great. It's amazing to see a man that's getting older, and he isn't that old. He's not in his late 30s just yet, but he's getting up there in age. They drafted him in 2014. But to see him go out there and put up the big-time production that he's putting up on a consistent basis, and to go out there and match it with the wins, you rarely see that. DeAndre Hopkins had a lot of bad years with the Houston Texans. He didn't have the postseason success. Mike Evans has a postseason success. He has the playoff wins. He has a Super Bowl win. And he was essential in that Super Bowl win against the Kansas City Chiefs. When they need a big play, they still go to Mike. And he is still one of the best wide receivers in the game. I'm happy that they gave him a contract extension in this offseason, because he should retire a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. One of the best players in franchise history. And yes, they force-fed him the football to get him over 1,000 yards to tie the record with Jerry Rice. And I do understand they've extended the season. It's more games now, whatever. For him to go out there and to do this on a yearly basis, it's great to see. Because he could have easily been a diva wide receiver. We've seen this with Antonio Brown. We've seen this with different wide receivers in the past. They'll go out there, they'll crash out because they're not getting the football enough. Even when Antonio Brown was getting the football enough, he was still crashing out on the field. Mike Evans has never been a diva. He wanted his money. He got his money. They dealt with it behind closed doors. And he's a great community guy also. It is rare to see a talent like this to be perfect on and off the field. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and do they own the NFC South division? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.